In the valley of the Shoalhaven River. Not that high, but there it is. And we, my wife and I, were staying in its shadow. This is something I wrote while I was there. The grief of the earth can be felt. The ridges and sinks, shrubs and eucalypts of Kula Ganta have feelings. So much emotion, we mortals cannot bear to know that sensitivity. It would leave us paralyzed to know. Instead, to save us from the shame, we conceive nature as paralyzed in scientific formula. The ancients gave metaphors for earth's feelings. They emerged from their language, which we have to translate perhaps in our over-rational way of speaking. So we turn their name, Kula Ganta, into splendid you, because it suits our lack of awareness, as if there were only splendid and commonplace view. The grief of the hill near mountain, though distinctions are again in our way of measuring, not in terms of previous culture, which honored height, not in readers, in a different sympathetic understanding. Perhaps the view's splendor has less to do with altitude and capacity to experience some panoramic perception, but more practically and ritually is another way of saying this place is sacred to the ancestors, where their assistance can be reached. The bond between locale and spirituality is not straightforward. We would be amazed that the Aboriginal tribes may not have honored a full-bloodied mountain the way we value summits and ranges by their height, their ascent from sea level. Other climbs exist which are important due to the hidden esoteric property that lies outside our scientific perception. We prefer quantitative because it appears computable over the qualitative, since it is elusive and to the cynic wishy-washy without ground. Hard to imagine that other nations in history, the qualitative was far more real than valuing specific localities or regions because their existence is measurable. Kula Ganta grieves because no one, including myself, knows its valid, sustaining meaning. We have depersonalized this physical world, expressed even through modern Western writing that shuns personification or anthropomorphism in literature. Well, this is not a worldwide phenomenon. Humanizing the landscape or animals has definite problems. Kipling's use of it in The Jungle Book might be one example. Cleanliness of Kula Ganta is not wholly human or devoid of anthropomorphic sensitivities. Derek Wolkoff's opening of his epic Oberus is enhanced by addressing the Gomer trees as you, representing them as you, does not humanize trees. It may deify them. The form of address leading to a salutation prevents a primary physical scientific appreciation of the subject. Kula Ganta is a you, not an it. Such classification would have only academic relevance, except language appears to affect how we tend to treat or value or devalue. Kula Ganta aches because we do not address the hill as a living thing, which implies, you implies, not dead or unfeeling thing like it connotes. Though the difference between you and it does not enforce de-appreciation of the subject, historically numerous examples can be offered to show that desensitizing our relationship with the other, the earth, and different human beings can result in demonizing, persecution, and massacre. The First Nations of the New World suffered this fate. Their basic humanity was undermined to the point they could be considered as subspecies, and killing them became legalized. We appear to have matured beyond rejection and degradation. Yet, Kulana mourns the loss of those who have rescued with proper protocol. Her came to me. I don't know why. Is that tree-coated smoke female? That fringe of canopies above the distinctive features of the earth born? Her, other side from Derry and inland valleys or the Prince's Highway, she looks like an extinct volcano, which may explain why her low height has little to do with her importance to the ancients. Perhaps her relative secure position on the floodplain is another indicator of her specialness to previous cultures, a place to escape from the Shoalhaven River, or what it was called before, burst its banks. Coolangatta is another Glastonbury tour, like in Somerset, an island in a sometimes swamp. These speculations may help us esteem or feed analysis. They fail to ensure we address Coolangatta, so in pain no longer, not as now, surrounded by barbed wire and crude keep-out signs fit more for prison, not a sacred geography of forgotten nations. Our sense of ownership demands the use of it. When we employ you, the limitations of deeds can be exposed. All assumptions of capitalism depend on an I-it relationship. The insertion of you threatens at once the whole economic structure, which justifies our exploitation of the earth without due care to help our resources last for future users. Coolangatta grieves because this mound absorbs our disregard and knows its consequence. You, praised peak of our ancestors' splendor, you green above ocean blue, where we climb to remember and foresee, you, mother, magically breathe the loss of us ancients who loved you as children and mourn for us conquerors who cannot see the destruction and floods our careless carefreeness foretells. You emphasize with the past and present already weeping for our foolish brutality, our arrogance, our infantile measuring for the loss of our homestead.